Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What is going on, fellas? It's your boy Kamish Moolah in the building, and we are here with the podcast, episode 3. College Series Podcast, Moolah vs. Live, episode 3, man. And we're going to cover some topics regarding what happened here in week 2 of this good old college series that we have here underway, man. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of competition. Um, and we're gonna get into some game reviews, but we're gonna review the primetime games. And after we go through the primetime games, we'll get into some of the premiere type stuff. But for now, we're just gonna wrap up the primetime games, get into some headlines, and then we're gonna dig in to the foul and things of that nature, and cover some of the other games after we get done with that. Look at some stats for some players, who's top 10. You feel me? Like who's who's been doing their thing. We gonna have some fun with this, man. So first off, we're gonna go to our good old. We're gonna take these thumbnails down and we're gonna get to our good old scores. First game, we got FSU versus Oregon State. And that boy Tyshawn Bryant came through with another big game. 28 for 33 completion. 28 for 33 in the completion department, 227 yards and 2 touchdowns. One being a passing touchdown and the other being a rushing touchdown. This kid was just balling out there, man. He was making it very hard on people. And if I'm just being honest, man, like this kid is looking like one of the guys that's gonna be at the top of that Malcolm list when that time comes around again. We gave some early predictions on the Malcolm list early in the season, but now as we are starting to take stride, still very early in the season, but as he's starting to take stride, man, here in week 2, he put on another big performance to move FSU to 2-0 against Oregon State, who looked really good. Sambucci was another quarterback that was on that list as well. But if I'm being honest, Tyshawn Bryant really looked a lot better than Sambucci in this game. And we're going to go to those statistics. Man, 27-17, Jawan Rose, 22 rushes, 93 yards and a touchdown. DeMarcus Hargrave, the tight end, led in receptions with 6 and 81 yards for FSU. So he was getting it done. The tight end for FSU, he's actually a generic, but these generics is hooping. Didn't mean to put Waverly Harris right there. That is definitely a typo. Pardon me, guys. Sometimes I be cooking these things up fast, and I'm a lone chef. I be in the kitchen cooking up dolly, man. So pardon me on some of the typos and mistakes, but it definitely was supposed to be Waverly Harris there. Brett Sambucci had 20 for 29, 209 yards, a touchdown and an interception. So still not a terrible game for Sambucci, but we do know that Sambucci is capable of playing a lot better than what he played in this game. We got DeAndre Taylor, 14 rushes, 50 yards, and a touchdown. He looked decent at times in this game, showed some flashes, but overall just wasn't enough against this FSU squad, man. FSU looked really good, and I just got to tip my hat to FSU for this performance, man. Tommy Benson, wide receiver, looked okay too. It was crazy because the secondary of FSU was doing their thing because the number one receiver of FSU could not get going. He's usually the go-to guy. I forgot his name. He's a generic as well. But Sambucci couldn't get him to rock. Sambucci was having a very frustrating time trying to get him to rock, and that was just an interesting dynamic to pay attention to during the game. So I definitely have to tip my hat to that Florida State unit, man. They did their thing, and we're going to move on. This was a big-time shocker, man. This shook the entire community as Nick Patton led the Wisconsin Badgers over the red hot at the moment because they had a record-breaking week 1 with Jay Bogner and those receivers. But when I say this guy, Nick Bogner, completely picked them apart, that is exactly what he did. Whether it was rushing, passing, he was getting it done. He had 2 touchdowns in the game, 1 rushing, 1 passing, 25 of 40, and 257 yards against the Fighting Irish. Their defense was outstanding, only giving that high-powered offense of the Fighting Irish 10 points in the game. So after a big-time game in week 1, I just feel like the Fighting Irish was not able to come back with, enough firepower, man. Maybe that game drained them. Maybe all the high expectations around campus and everybody, expecting them to be them guys got to their head, and they did not show up a good performance, man. So that is going to be another interesting thing to watch. But looking into the stats, Brian Ramirez, the running back for the Wisconsin Badgers, this kid is going to be somebody you got to pay attention to. 100 yards once again, and he's just showing some really good consistency. 27 rushes for 108 yards. John Northup, the receiver, looked really good. 5 receptions for 64 yards. And then Trevante Williams had 7 tackles and a forced fumble. The strong safety came into play. Shout out and salute to my guy DCP, Brandon James, Lil Folks, AOG Star, and William Beach, man, Chris Beach, the rest of the guys in the chat, man. Salute to y'all. Thanks for always just tuning in, being active, man. And showing me the love and support that y'all show me, man. Like we chop it up, and we be talking like real dudes in the VC. But I just want to really let y'all know that outside of all of that and us chopping it up just on a friendly tip, I really appreciate y'all on like a fam tip, man, because y'all support go a long way and it keeps me going. So big salute to y'all, man. But in this game, Wisconsin really gave it to Notre Dame, and Notre Dame, man, just they got to bounce back. Jay Bogner, 16 to 36. That's 20 incompletions in that game, 210 yards and only 1 touchdown. Ace Lewis couldn't really get it going, had 10 rushes for 45 yards, and it was just tough to get the engine roaring, man. Then they had to come back, so they had to lean on the passing game a bit much, and it just didn't look like what we seen in the first week. Dominique Davis was the go-to guy for the Fighting Irish. Surprising that it wasn't Hello Rello, McConaughey, or BJ5. However, that just shows that they have more weapons, and if they could get that thing clicking properly, man, I think that this team is definitely going to be a problem. Still got a lot to see, as far as what's going on, man. But I just can't wait to see how things are going to pan out for, this squad in the future. I think there's going to be a lot of things shifting up and happening over the course of the season. So don't hold your head too high. Don't hold your head too low, whether you're winning or losing early. We got an NFL-style playoffs, even though it's college. So, just stay the course. Believe in what you putting out there. Game plan, readjust. Get your schemes right. Get your game plan trainers right. And come out better, man. But moving on to the next game, UNC takes it to a very, very tough Iowa team, man. When I say that this Iowa team is no slouch, they are no slouches. And UNC came out and they looked just as good as advertised in this game. Jay King, only 9 incompletions, 24 of 33 for 248 yards, 1 touchdown pass and 1 running. And this kid, man, is just looking like he can make the right play. Don't want to call him a game manager because the negative connotation that comes with that. But with all the weapons that he has, he manages the game and his weapons very, very well. So a big salute to Jay King and company, man. These UNC Tar Heels are looking sensational this season. And getting into the stats, Dre Willis, another one of those weapons who may just wind up being a Malcolm candidate alongside his QB from the way that it's looking right now, because Dre Willis, if you're watching these games, he is coming up huge and getting it done big time for the Tar Heels, man. And I just can't stress it enough, the importance that Jay Willis has been to this offense and to this Tar Heels team, man. Josuke Cujo coming out and having a really good game, one of those receiving threats. 5 receptions for 74 yards for Josuke Cujo III, man. This kid is another big playability guy alongside DCP and Herron, as well as BJ Hamilton, who scored a touchdown in this game. Looked really good, and UNC is just looking like they're going to be a problem all season long. No, I don't want to talk too, heavy on teams early, because a lot of teams have showed they haven't started off too well. Maybe can, finish off on the back end. However, man, UNC is looking as good as advertised thus far, and I got to tip my hat to them. But going on to the Iowa side of things, Trent Williams had a decent game, 23 of 40, 267, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. He looked good in week 1, got him a W, but in this one, just not enough against a really good team, man. He did what he can. He got in the end zone twice, but credit to the UNC defense. They made it hard on him. And these guys are no joke, man. Tavio Simpson, Andrew Alexander, Trey Harper. They got a lot of guys on that defense that will come after you. Bud Simmons, who was on the thumbnail. These guys are no joke here in UNC. And you guys can't hear me? Let me know if you guys can hear me. Is the sound check good? Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Can you guys can't hear me? Don't tell me that I had. Let me see something real quick. The audio should be fine. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you guys can hear me. Okay, so you guys can hear me. Pardon me, man. DCP had me scared for a minute. I thought I was talking to myself. But yeah, man, overall, this was a good game. UNC just looking good as advertised. Iowa had a tough go in this one. They had a tough team to play against. I think they did all that they could. Trey McLean rushed it pretty well. Nathan Raymond looked good in a receiving game. He was definitely slicing the UNC defense at times. Got to give him credit for that. But altogether, man, it's gonna be hard to get a win against this team. So just gotta tip my hat, man. Just gotta tip my hat to Iowa. They came in and they tried to play, but UNC is looking like them guys right now. So moving on, we had Ohio State versus Washington, and this game was insane. This game came all the way down to overtime. This game had locker rooms, in a frenzy. It was just crazy, but we got to give a credit to the guy, Yancey Rivers, man. Stuck it out through overtime, 30 or 40 in the game. So he was chipping away. Sometimes it looked like he was gonna have to take a shot, but I guess the game plan and sticking to the game plan, prevailed for these guys because they wound up getting a win. Yancey only 10 incompletions, 30 for 40. 297 yards, almost 300, and he had 2 touchdowns. So you cannot beat that result. But this was a crazy game, man. That had some crazy things going on in the VC and then the chat afterwards with Washington team. But we're gonna get to that later when we get to the headlines portion, man. But we gotta just get into this game. Carlos Thompson, 88 rushing yards on 22 carries, 9 receptions, and 63 yards and a touchdown. So he had a lot of yards all purpose. Carlos Thompson III looked really, really good. And you guys got to keep an eye on Carlos Thompson. Don't sleep on him as a back. He's a very strong guy, always falling forward. And salute to Carlos Thompson, man. This kid is definitely a problem. If you sleep on him, he can make you pay. He can do things in both the rushing game and the receiving game. So you can't sleep on him. However they're coming, man. So J.J. Bailey picked it up in the second half. He was a bit quiet early in the game, but he picked it up when it mattered. Him and Yancey started to get that chemistry and connection flowing in the second half, like I said, and J.J. Bailey still turned in a very good game. 5 receptions, 79 yards. Pardon me, I don't know why I'm yawning so much. Not even tired. But 5 receptions, 79 yards. Didn't get in the end zone, but that went a long way to the performance that they had as a team and, winning the game, man. Javon Sims on the other end, 19 for 32, 196 yards and a touchdown. Tank Wilson had an outstanding game, almost had a game-winning run, but they were called for a holding, and it just took the life out of this team. And I think that really drained them going into overtime. I think they were, they had their spirits up, and that play was, their last swing. Because in overtime, they just wasn't able to get it done, unfortunately. But Tank Wilson looked outstanding in this game. Big shout out to Tank Wilson, man. He looked like a force to be reckoned with. And 2 really good running backs in this game, man. That game was just fun to watch from top to bottom. Defenses were getting stops. So, just shout out to all those guys. Cam Johnson, 1 reception, but that was all he needed to get in the end zone on a big play, 61 yards, where Javon Sims just laid it on him, and it was just a great pass. Great catch and a running score, man. Big shout out to Cam Johnson and Javon Sims on that play. They seem to have a pretty good connection deep right now. It's just some things that Washington has to work on. But we're going to get into some more things in the headlines and when we look over the foul. But for now, man, just a really good game for OSU. Pardon me, I just noticed I have the wrong record on this graphic for these guys as well. But when I post this, I will put the right records. OSU is 1-1 and Washington is 0-2. So, and I got week 1 still on the graphics. So, it's some things that I got to fix, guys. I be flying through these graphics, getting this all done on a week-to-week basis for you guys, as well as chopping it up with the community. I do a lot with my community, man. The guys in the chat will let you know. So, if you see typos and stuff, that's really on me. But, I'm making it happen, man. I'm a one-man crew right now when it comes to the MSFL. So, just bear with me. But I really do a lot as far as engaging with the community, chopping it up with guys, having fun with my community. I think that's really what it's about. And as we continue to build this, it's just going to get better and better. So we ain't tripping. But moving on, we had Jason Duncan III having a really great game against UGA. Another hat trick for Jason Duncan, man. These guys won by 10 points. But now UGA is going to have to figure something out as it is, starting to get to them hours. This is another game that they're going to slip against a, good opponent. And the question marks are starting to arise, man. They're competing up until some points in the game. I feel like they're competing up until about the second half. I think in the second half they're kind of giving in, and I'm not sure what that is. But Jason Duncan, 228, 3 touchdowns, 18 for 24. That's another really solid night for Jason Duncan. And you just got to give Jason Duncan, man, a big time salute because he's looking good this season after, there was some questions about him in the preseason, but he's looking good during the season, and that's really all that matters. Moving on, we're going to get into the stats. Texas 2-0 right now, UGA 0-2, so they got to get some things together. Key Harris, 26 attempts, 78 yards, decent game. Couldn't really get too much going, but this kid is electric. Can't sleep on him for too long. Juan Joyner, the actual generic receiver, was the receiver who was killing them the most. 4 receptions, 104 yards, 2 touchdowns. We got Bo Knapp, a user, and we have Profit Margins, who's in the chat right now. Shout out to my guy Farrell Raids. Those guys are the user receivers, but they must be freeing things up for Juan Joyner as he was just slicing UGA's defense, man. Big shout out to Juan Joyner, the generic, man. We care about our generics here in the Moolahverse because they help, keep the storylines unfolding. And they play a big part in the story overall, man, until, we grow a little bit more as a league and we have more user players, which will be our subscribers. So if you're interested in that, just drop a comment. We definitely will get you a Discord link and we'll get you signed up, man. This season is over. This season things are wrapped up. But, next season we definitely could get you in there. But on the Georgia side of things, Brock Williamson, 21 of 33, 231 yards and a touchdown. And then you got JoJo Cartier-Ocean having an outstanding coming out party in this one. 7 receptions, 119 yards, and a touchdown. This kid looked good in the game. Wanted to make some adjustments with some things, and I think it definitely paid off for him. He looked really good. Brock Williamson was finding them, but they just lost steam, man. Like I said, something about that second half with this UGA team that is just not working in their favor, and they just gotta figure it out before before it gets too late, if I'm being honest, man. Quentin Santos with 10 tackles in that game, and then Jonathan Griffin on defense for Texas. Outstanding game, 5 tackles, 3 of them being tackles for loss, and 3 sacks. That's just outstanding, getting in the backfield, wreaking havoc. And man, UGA has to find a way to find some consistency and sustain that through all 4 quarters, and not just the first half or the first 3 quarters, because even late in the game in the 4th quarter, things can be very, very pivotal and important. And now we're gonna go to, pardon me, didn't mean to do that. We're gonna go into these headlines, and here goes headline number 1. We got the Frightened Irish. Frightened Irish, from week 1 glory to the shock of bright lights. Jay Bogner and the Fighting Irish stumble against the undefeated Badgers. The thrill fades under the spotlight. And I went with this headline, Frightened Irish, man, because, both teams came in undefeated, although it was only week 2. Both teams came up 1-0. But the Fighting Irish was the team who had the spotlight. The Fighting Irish was the team who, was supposed to take center stage and dominate in this game. However, it was the Wisconsin Badgers who flipped the script on them and actually got it done. So Frightened Irish was definitely the theme here in this game. Jay Bogner holding his head down on that play, as you can see, just didn't have the game that many scouts and, people around the league expected after having a record-breaking, game in week 1. complete opposite, to what they did in week 1, man. So gotta say, Frightened Irishman was the headline for that one. And then moving on, mission complete. Ole Miss took a loss in week 1. However, they made the proper and necessary adjustments to get it done in week 2, and the mission was complete. Ace Andre Roche, Cinco Andre Roche, Elijah Andre Roche, Momo Woods, Nino Cavacci. Of course, the Roche family over there leading the charge, but you got, a nice little family dynamic and some other players over there that's definitely adding to the spark. Number 18 at wide receiver is really good. Nino Cavacci in this picture with Cinco. They looked really good. Ace can air it out. Really good field general, man. But all in all, man, it definitely was a game to watch. And just super happy that these guys was able to get it together, man. And I know how hard these guys work, but they got it together and they got themselves in the win column. So Ole Miss is going to move on to 1-1 and got the mission complete in week 2. Shout out to my guy, Talon Ross, a.k.a. Zion Lipscomb. Got to always pause on that name and make sure I could, get the right way to pronounce that, man. Zion Lipscomb. That's actually a hard name, but definitely you can't be saying that too fast. You'll fumble, say something funny. But UG in this next one. Early question marks in Georgia as they face back-to-back losses. What's causing the unexpected setbacks, and can the Bulldogs bounce back? Let me know in the chat if y'all think that, the Bulldogs can actually bounce back from this one, man. Right now, it's just really looking like UGA. They showed some flashes early, showed flashes in games, but they just can't see it all the way through right now. Right now, for whatever reason, it is not meshing for the full length of a game, and that's a problem, man. That's a problem. With so much competition in this league, you gotta string it together throughout the course of a game. Brock Williamson, I don't know, he's been unraveling a bit. Maybe his guys got to get him to regroup. But maybe, some game plan things. Maybe it's some scheming things. Maybe it's a coaching thing. Maybe it's a game planning thing. Maybe it's an execution thing. We don't know what it is, but they have to figure it out before this thing begins to spiral out of control. Still very early in week 2, but UG for this one. They got to get it together. Tar Heeling to first. UNC exudes confidence at number 1. Moving to 2-0 after conquering a tough Iowa squad. The question now, can they consistently leverage their array of weapons moving forward? Can UNC continue this, consistency of dominance that they want to exude on the field? Can they continue to utilize all of those weapons properly? Can they keep everybody happy? Can they keep winning? How long will they keep winning? And how would they react when somebody finally hits them in the mouth, if it happens? So these are all things to take into account. But right now, these guys are Tar Heeling in the first place. And it is, I don't want to say it's not close, because Texas looks really good as well. And there's some other teams that's doing some really good things that I think if they could continue doing consistently, they definitely could compete for that number 1 spot. But if there's a team that has a lot of weapons that we know of on paper, and it has just been really getting it done on the field as well, it has to be UNC. By far, and well, not by far, but it has to be UNC clean cut as of right now. And yeah, man, they're Tar Heel in the first place. Jay King looking really good, managing the game. Dre Willis looking outstanding as a back. DCP Heron, BJ Hamilton, and Josuke Kujo all looking outstanding in the receiving game. So all together, man, I just gotta keep tipping my hat to these guys, and I'm really enjoying the brand of football that I'm seeing out of UNC. Moving on, Texas torching, man. The Longhorns looking good with Waverly Harris and Jason Duncan leading the charge. Texas dominates on both ends. The question lingers, how soon until Texas claims the number 1 spot? How soon, guys, until Texas is knocking at the door of UNC to come at that number 1 spot? UNC, like we just spoke about, look really good, but Texas is torching teams right now. Texas is letting guys have it, and unless somebody steps up and changes that, if they get another big win in week 3, I think that's gonna start to set this team on a different type of fire. That's gonna make them hard to stop, man. they got a lot of weapons on both ends as well. And when those weapons get going, Texas is very tough to beat. Don't want to do too much because like I said, it's very early in the season. Things can turn around in a hurry for teams. But Texas is a team right now that I feel like can continue that consistency and will be battling for that number 1 spot with UNC and the likes of a few other teams. So Texas torching, and you just gotta show the love to Texas, man. Waverly Harris locking it down on his side right now, and then Jason Duncan on the offensive end has just been picking teams apart, playing very efficient football. So Texas torching for that headline in Ohio Skates. Ohio State University clinches OT victory against a frustrated Washington squad. What does this action-packed game reveal about each team's resilience and dynamics? What does this say about each team, man? Ohio State skated away in this game in overtime. I would say it took them some time to get the engine roaring. A lot of back and forth. But what does this really say to you guys about both of these teams? Like a type of game that goes down to the wire. Are these teams the truth and just rear its heads, early in the season? Or do you kind of see some holes in, these teams that can lead you to some alarms, against other opponents, pardon me. Let me know how you're feeling about, this OSU squad, because I like OSU and I like Washington, but I do think for whatever reason they do have to just figure out what works for them and stick to a certain game plan that'll put them in the best position for success and put their users in the best position for success. But Ohio State definitely skated away with this victory, and it was crazy. It was some questionable calls by the refs. There was a lot of controversy in this game. Went down to the wire, but it was definitely fun to watch. And then moving on, we had Bama time. Bama time in Tuscaloosa. Duke Davis and Jackson Collins shines on offense while Kennard Rhoden and Ty K. Wells lock things down on defense. Is there any slowing down this powerhouse? Is there any slowing down this Alabama, Roll Tide, Crimson Tide, man? Because these guys are looking like just a well put together team. You've seen Jackson Collins have a outstanding game, man. In week 2, this kid, was just getting open, and Duke Davis was putting it on the money. He had a couple drops, but he definitely made up for it big time. So, yeah, man, definitely, amazing to watch. If I'm being honest, man, these are games that you got to tune into. But how long do you think Alabama could sustain this? And who do you guys see slowing down this Alabama powerhouse through 2 weeks? And next we're going to get into these player of the weeks. Here we go. Kenny Knox was player of the week for his conference, the quarterback of UCLA. He looked really good and caught himself a nice victory. Man, ran it up on TCU. Oh, not TCU, pardon me. Who did these guys play again? Let me get to it real quick. Who did these guys play? We had UCLA versus... Oh, yeah, it was TCU. I'm bugging. I know I wasn't violent. It was TCU. So, yeah, they ran it up, man. This kid played outstanding. This kid was diamond, getting it done. And got to tip my hat to him. He was slinging it, bro. He was slinging it. And I want to see if he could continue this effort. Yeah, I just got to see if he continues. He's a generic guy. Young guy as well. A lot of these guys are young guys. Most of them are all freshmen. So, we just a new league starting out, so got to start with the young guys. But this kid, man, is looking good right now, and he was the player of the week. And then in the other conference, the player of the week was Jackson Collins. Jackson Collins came away with the player of the week for Alabama, man, in his respective conference. And in a few, I'll show you guys what the conferences look like, although we have that tab in our Discord. For the guys that's here for this, podcast, I definitely will show you, or the people watching back, I definitely will, put that up so you guys can see what's going on. But Jackson Collins playing good football, and he got it done, man. Jackson Collins got the player of the week. Had some good statistics that we showed on the screen during this game. But yeah, man. Next, we have this top 10 rankings, and here goes the week 3 top 10 rankings. No need for a drum roll, none of that. We're just going to get right into it. We got North Carolina at number 1. We have Texas at number 2. We have Michigan State at 3. Alabama at 4. Florida State at 5. Wisconsin at 6. Mississippi State at 7. OK State at 8. UCLA at 9 and Michigan at 10. So I believe all of these teams right here are undefeated up into number 9. UCLA is 1-1 and Michigan is 1-1. But I believe all of these teams from 1 to 8 is the undefeated squads. I believe they're also the last of the undefeateds. Yes, they are the last of the undefeated. So 8 teams still undefeated in this one. And let me know what is you guys' rankings in the chat. Let me know what rankings you guys have. This is my power rankings. But you guys are always, welcome to share your rankings and who you got based on the play. Not a, pardon me, guys, not a dictatorship here. So you guys can let me know, like, yeah, who do you guys got as far as your top 10 rankings, man? This is the rankings, though. And then we're going to get into the schedule. I'm trying to breeze through this because we actually are going to have some games tonight. Don't want them to fall too late, but we're going to have some premiere games tonight. Going to get some premiere games tomorrow, like regular Sunday. We're going to continue grinding here in the MSFL. So next we have week 3 premiere schedule tonight. We have NC State versus UCLA. That is a game that I'm interested to see. NC State took a loss last week, if I'm not mistaken, but UCLA would have win. Then we got TCU versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma's 0-2, so is TCU. Who is going to get out of that winning drought first? I think this is maybe a bounce-back game for TCU. So can't wait to see what they do. Going to hit them for their game plan and see how, they respond in this game this week. Then on February 17th, and let me just go down my predictions as I call these games. I think UCLA will beat NC State. NC State defense looked really good, but I may have some questions about their offense. I think their offense is still up to debate, where I seen UCLA kind of do some things with Hazelwood and Knox. Kenny Knox being the player of the week for this conference. So I think I'm gonna go with UCLA in the player of the week, and also Hazelwood looks really good. So that's who I'm gonna go with. And then TCU Oklahoma. I think this is the game where we see TCU get that elusive win and finally do what we thought that they were gonna do, this season. Yeah. So I'm gonna go with TCU and UCLA tonight. Tomorrow we have A&M versus USC. Both teams 1-1. And I'm gonna go with A&M. USC still looking a little bit shaky to me. They did get a win, but they're looking a bit shaky. Texas A&M look a little bit more convincing in their winning approach. And then tomorrow we also have Washington versus Oregon. That is going to be an interesting matchup. I don't think Oregon is slouches, but with some turmoil in Washington, I'm just kind of interested to see with the turmoil in Washington how this thing fares. And what these guys are like to do. How would these guys adjust? I believe they're on like their final playbook change, if they change their playbook. But we'll see. Whatever they pick, they're gonna have to ride out with and stick with. But Oregon has a pretty good team too, man. Oregon has a pretty nice squad behind the user quarterback Brewer. I'm gonna be really interested to see how this thing is gonna fare with them. And yeah, man, I'm going with. It's tough. I think I gotta go with Washington in this one. Oregon looks good, but I think Washington defense has a chance to step up and make something happen. So I'm just gonna go with Washington in this one, just because those defenders that they have there, they got a stacked defense. And Oregon is alright, but I think Washington will respond pretty well against them. Penn State versus Ohio State. That's gonna be another really good premier game, honestly. But I think coming off that win for Ohio State, I'm going to have to go with Ohio State in this one. Penn State 1-1. They both 1-1. Penn State took in the tough loss. I gotta go with Ohio State though. Penn State actually has a wide receiver walking on coming in, so that's gonna be interesting to see him for the first time. But Ohio State, man, they got some they got some guys on defense, guys on offense, and I'm liking the effort. I'm liking the effort, honestly. Liking the effort from Ohio State, man. I think Yancey Rivers got it done last week. They showed that they can, keep it going. Played through the overtime, got the win in a tough game against a team that I still believe is very tough, although they're 0-2. And I just gotta shout out Ohio State, man. I gotta show Ohio State some love on this one. I think that they win. I think that they come out with another victory and move on to 2-1. Clemson and Georgia both 0-2. I think I may have to, give the nod to Georgia. I think I might gonna have to. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give the nod to Georgia. Clemson just looked a bit dismal against Bama, and I think UGA coming off these two tough losses is gonna want to prove something in this matchup, and I think that they get it done and they prove victorious in this one. So I gotta go with UGA, and then Auburn versus Ole Miss. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Ole Miss. I don't even think this is tough. This is gonna be a shootout though, I believe, because Auburn has a high-powered offense. That dude Tyler Bledsoe, although he's not too successful, this guy airs it out, and I think Ole Miss is going to. I think Ole Miss is gonna come back swinging, but I definitely think Auburn is going to make some waves. So I think it's gonna be a tough matchup, back and forth matchup. I think it may be a high-scoring game, or you never know. Ole Miss may just come out and take it right to these guys. It remains to be seen, but that's just my perspective. That's just what I think. I think Ole Miss is gonna get it done, whether it's a shootout or what. It's either gonna be a shootout and Ole Miss is gonna win in the shootout, or I think Ole Miss may dominate the game. So I think it's one or the other. Oregon State versus Miami. I gotta go with Oregon State. I think Sambucci has his bounce back game. So yeah, man, that's what I'm gonna go with. Sambucci on the bounce back nod. Yeah. So hold up. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. Pardon me on the delay. Don't even mean to do this. Pardon me, guys. Pardon me on that one. Had to definitely get some things straightened real quick. But let me pick up to where I left off for a minute. I hate that I had to stop so abruptly right there. But I think I definitely got Oregon State beating Miami in that one. Then I'm gonna go with Tennessee over LSU. Haven't really seen enough out of LSU, if I'm being honest. Haven't seen enough out of LSU to make me think that they're gonna win this game. So I gotta go with Tennessee. Then we have Notre Dame versus Utah. I think Notre Dame definitely bounced back versus Utah. Utah does have a pretty good QB, but if I'm being honest, I think that Notre Dame is gonna handle them. Wisconsin versus Iowa is going to be a good game. Two very, very tough CPU teams, and that's why I got the premier game of the week. But I got Wisconsin coming out 3-0 in that one. I don't know. What I see from Nick Patton is just giving me vibes that he's going to get it done in this. I think Nick Patton is definitely going to get it done in this. So I'm going to go with Nick Patton and Iowa. And then for the prime time game schedule, we got Colorado versus Florida State on the 19th as the first game. I'm going to go with, that's tough. I'm gonna say Florida State. I'm sorry, Ronnie Football, man. I'm sorry, my guy Slicko, but I'm gonna say Florida State is gonna come away with the dub in that one. Then Florida versus North Carolina. That's gonna be a good game. We see Florida shock UGA. So I'm gonna say North Carolina is gonna get that though. But I do think it's gonna be a tougher game than people think. I think maybe about 2 touchdowns at most. I got for North Carolina. Texas versus Michigan State. I'm going to go with Texas. I'm going to say that's a battle with the undefeated. Somebody's going to leave home with their first L. I'm going to say Texas in a tough one. I'm going to say that game is going to be an absolute tough game, but I'm going to say that Texas is going to do what they need to do to prevail and get it done. So, yeah. Salute to Texas, man. I think that they got that game on the 20th. That's going to be the first game. And then the second game is going to be Mississippi State versus Michigan. And that's going to be another doozy. Man. Mississippi State looking really good right now, but Michigan is looking good after, picking up a W. I think Zion and them. I think Zion and them get it done. I think Zion and Michigan get it done. I think Zion, Lipscomb, Tank Jackson. I think they get it done. I think they probably could get their wide receivers going in that one. Quentin Williams, Troy Frost. So I'm gonna go with them on that one. Then last but not least, we got Oklahoma State versus Alabama, which is gonna be another really, really, really good game on the 21st. That's gonna be the last game of the week. And I gotta go with Bama. Oklahoma State has looked really good. This is another battle of the undefeateds. Oklahoma State is shocked people, going undefeated up until this point. Only 2 weeks, but they've got back-to-back wins. And yeah, man, if I'm being honest, man, I think we just gotta say that Alabama is gonna come out with that one, just with the way that they've looked. But you never know, man. Oklahoma State is undefeated for a reason. They won 2 games in a row for a reason. And it could be anybody's game here in this league, man. We haven't really seen enough consistency or enough from each team to really be predicting this. But I got to go with Bama in this one. And here's where I'm going to give you this capture right here. And I'm just going to show you guys. That was the schedule. This was the way that the schedule looked regularly. But I'm going to show you guys the standings. Here goes the division standings. So you guys can screenshot that, do what you want with that. I'm already sent this in, but in this conference right here, which they would say is the AFC East, we haven't named our college conferences, but I guess we can name them. We started this thing and just been on the money, but we'll name them eventually. But we got the Longhorns 2-0 in this conference at number 1. Then we got Oklahoma State at 2-0 as well. And then the bottom of that conference is Oklahoma versus TCU. And that's a conference game this week. So that's some even more implications from looking on the AFC side. And of course, this is not, NFL, but it is what it is. We just identify what we read it as right now. Alabama leading their division right now, only undefeated team. Gators right under them. And you got Georgia 0-2 in that division and Auburn 0-2 in that division. So that's just really tough right there to see. Then you got Ole Miss leading the charge in the AFC South. They're 1-1. Tennessee is 1-1. Texas A&M is 1-1. And LSU is the only 0-2 team there. And that's very interesting, man, because that's up for grabs between those three teams. And I think it's anybody division here in the AFC South. But it's going to be very fun to see how that AFC South pans out, man. All of these divisions look fun to watch. Mississippi Bulldogs 2-0, like I said, got to watch them. Them and Florida State has some tests this week, and I can't wait to see how they prevail because they're at the top of this division undefeated right now, and that can, change a lot of this division based on what we see in this week. Hurricanes and Colorado are the trailing teams at 1-1, so that looks like a really good division right now, just as far as things are swinging. And then we go to the NFC side. Michigan State, the lone leader here in this division, the only undefeated team. And then they got the Wolverines on them, Penn State right behind them, and Ohio State right behind them. All teams with wins. So definitely things to pay attention to. NFC North with the Beavers, Oregon State, the Ducks, Oregon Ducks 1-1. So these both Oregon teams at the top, and then Washington, at the bottom of the division right now. But this is why I feel like they could turn it around, because with this division right here, I'm confident in a team like Washington being able to get it together and string some games together. I'm very confident in Washington's ability to do that with these teams, being the teams in their division. Next up, we got the Badgers undefeated right now and leading the charge in their division. And when I look at these teams, I believe this is a three-way race between UCLA, Iowa, and Wisconsin. USC hasn't shown me enough to believe in them yet, but these top three teams right here that you see, I truly believe that they're going to be able to string some things together and make some things happen, man. So just keep an eye on that. And yeah, man, things could get very interesting in this division. A lot of these divisions are very, very, lit. I ain't gonna lie. A lot of these divisions look good, and I can't wait to see, how this thing unfolds. Then NFC West, you got UNC leading the charge. They got NC State in there, and then they also have Fighting Irish, and then Clemson. So I believe this is another three-way race right here. Still can't all the way sleep on Clemson, but I think this is more of a race between UNC, NC State, and the Fighting Irish. And I think it is UNC's division to lose, but I know that the Fighting Irish are going to put up a fight for this division. I'll give you a conference look as well, just so you can see. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 undefeated teams here in the AFC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams without a win. Also, yeah, man. And then we have some teams middle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 middle of the pack teams. Should have known that because it was 10 and 10, so 6. But yeah, man, got some middle of the pack teams here who still can fight their way up. But look at these net points. Like, if you pay attention to these net points, they'll tell you something. Like, Texas net points means that they outscoring. They pretty much outscoring people by this much. Outscoring their opponents. Outscored their opponents in a total of this much. And then you have Oklahoma State, the Cowboys, look, 21. So they put up 47 points. They gave up 26 points in 2 weeks. And that's not bad. That's really not a bad average right there. Texas put up a lot of points, so that's why they got it. But that's not bad. And then Mississippi State, 33 net. And they only gave up 9 points all season. 9 points, guys. That is tough. That is tough, guys. Florida State scored 61, but they're giving up a lot of points, so the net not too crazy. Bama's net is at 20. They're averaging giving up about 15 points a game right now. Even Ole Miss is putting up points, but they're giving up a lot of points. If you could see, based on how many points they gave up, that's about 24 points a game. So definitely want to cut that down. But this is why it's interesting to look at these things on different scales between divisions and conferences. And this is what I like to just break down and see. And I thought it would be a good segment to share this with y'all. I know y'all are football fans, and even if you go watch back, it got some good watch value when you could go and like look at the different points and dissect these different moments, even for yourself. Being a part of the league. Wisconsin with the highest net over here. You got UNC right behind them with 20. And then I see 17 down here by the Nittany Lions, who are putting up points, but they're giving up points too. Only average about 15 points that they're giving up, but however, Michigan State Spartans are doing it. They're getting these wins. The Wolverines only at 3 net, gave up 21 points in 2 weeks, only put up 24. You see some teams with negative net, man, so they gave up more points in total than they've scored, and that's what makes it tough. But when you look here, 3 undefeated teams, 3 teams defeated, and then everything else in between, then like 10 teams that's still in the hunt, still fighting. And overall, the league is wide open, man. The league is wide open. It's a lot going on. Definitely a lot going on. We can look at some stats here. Passing leaders, here you go. Rush and passing yards over the past 2 weeks. This is what it's looking like. Yeah, here we go. This is what it's looking like as far as yards. I had to just check that notification. But here's what it's looking like as far as yards. Tyshawn Bryant coming in at number 5. John Wilson at number 4. Tyler Bledsoe at number 3. Ace Andre Roche at number 2. Jay Bogdan at number 1. So we got all users in the top 5. Actually, the top 6 too with Trey Johnson. Duke Davis is in the top 10 at number 9. Looking good right now. 6 touchdowns, 1 interception for Duke Davis. Dorian Brackett, the AI, he's at number 10. And yeah, man, we got a lot of user guys though in this top 5 mix that I like to see. Who's leading in touchdowns? We got 3-way tie. We got Duke Davis, Kenny Knox, and Eric Weber. Duke being the only user, leading in touchdowns right now. Ace Andre Roche 1 behind him with 5. Who else? Jason Duncan as well. Interception leaders, you got Trey Johnson and John Wilson, 2 user quarterbacks, 1 for TCU, 1 for Tennessee. So that's interesting to see right there. The most sacked quarterback right now is Cameron Bryant from USC. The second most sacked quarterback is John Richards of Miami, and the third is Javon Sims of Washington. So yeah, gotta protect the quarterback. Rushing yards, the leader is Devontae Moore of Alabama. He's leading the charge right now. However, he hasn't gotten into the end zone yet. That is crazy. That's a crazy dynamic. John Brunson, I believe that is OK State's running back. 225, 1 touchdown. It's either OK State or Oregon State. Brian Ramirez, that's definitely Wisconsin's running back. He looks really good. Coming in here at number 3. Number 4, Richard Ryans, that's Mississippi State. And then number 5, Casey Robinson out of Texas A&M. So just, he's only 27 yards shy of being a rushing leader. So I see you, KC. Key Harris is in at 7. Okay. Michael Smith at 8. Patrick Vince at 9. Dre Willis at 10. You know what I'm saying? So I'm liking that right there. Touchdowns, we got a 3-way tie at 2 for Drip Britton, Ronnie Shanahan, and Benji Truman. So Ronnie Shanahan, the QB, coming in here for rushing touchdowns and making his mark. Who has the most 20-yard runs? You got Tyshawn Bryant, the QB, Key Harris, the running back, Eric Weber, the quarterback, and Casey Robinson, the running back for Texas A&M. Who has the most fumbles? 2-way tie at 3 for Casey Robinson and Tyler Bledsoe. KC got to protect that ball. He is a top rusher, but he also is a top fumbler, tied at number 1 right now. And then receiving yards, Jackson Collins, the user at number 1, 10 receptions, 267 yards. 4 touchdowns, and just killing it, man, killing it. Jackson Collins killing it right now. Had a couple drops, 3 drops. They get set registered, but definitely doing this thing. Ethan Crite at number 2, Crite on time. No surprise here. 208, 208. 1 touchdown right now, 1 drop. Ethan Crite has been on time most of the time. Brandon James coming in at number 3. Brandon James, 198, 10 receptions, touchdown, 1 drop on the season right now registered. But definitely looking good, man. Definitely looking good, Brandon James. Cedric Hill, that's actually the wide receiver from Ole Miss. 8 receptions, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns. Emiliano Pereira, tight end, 15 receptions, 181. So he's looking good for TCU. 1 touchdown for him. Gotta like it, man. And McConaughey in at number 9. Okay, 162 for him in a touchdown. So can't wait to see how things start to pan out, man. Can't wait to see how things start to pan out. Still some close battles here. Who has the most touchdowns? Jackson Collins with 4. Then we have three-way tie in second between Sam Butler, Alex Dickinson, and David Barnes. These are all tight ends, guys, too. Check out all tight ends. The tight ends in the red zone, killing it right now. Who leads the leagues in drops? So we got a lot of guys with 4 drops right now. But as far as wide receiver, Tommy Brooks, Jack Stewart with 4 drops for TCU. Quentin Harris for Michigan with 4 drops as well. But it's definitely looking like a bit of a tight end league, man. Definitely looking like a tight end league right now, especially in that red zone. Tackles wise, let's move on. Total tackles, we got Josh Portillo, Juan Cervantes of Notre Dame with 26 tackles. Nazir Fitzsimmons, the corner, looking really good, getting them tackles. And Jonathan Griffin, 25. He beat the backfield for Texas. He's dope. Got to keep an eye on him. Michael Walenka, Bama's guy, is here as well. Cole Davis of TCU, just a guy. Quentin Santos at 16. So we see a couple of guys there. Let's see sacks. Darren Levy of Ole Miss. Ole Miss, man. This guy's getting in the backfield. He's making it happen. Lindsey Anderson, 3.5 sacks. Don't know what team Lindsey is on. He's on NC State. Yeah, no, NC State got a really good pass rush. Gotta watch him. Jared Bingham is on Penn State, 3.5. Juan Casas, Mississippi State. Khalil Allen, Notre Dame. Okay, Notre Dame. Y'all getting over in the books. Oregon. So there goes some guys right there. I don't see any too much more of users there that's popping out. Forced fumbles, Victor Santos, Mike Guy. Whoa, Mike Guy also has 2 interceptions. So 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles. That's big for the safety. He is a turnover machine, man. He is a turnover machine from what I'm seeing so far. Shout out to my guy, Pereira, man. Pereira, you looking good in the receiving stats, man. You looking good. Tim Ricks also with 2 forced fumbles, man. So shout out to Tim Ricks out there stripping that rock, man. Let's see touchdowns. We got Kelvin Rowley. We also have Waverly Harris, so they didn't register certain stuff. Guess certain things is missing. Tackle sacks, so we went over the sacks already. Interceptions. Let's see. Okay, so here we got the touchdowns. I guess they meant like all fumbles for the tackles, but Waverly Harris, Josh Jenkins, Humphreys. Who's leading the interceptions? You got Mike Guy. That's the guy who's leading the forced fumbles as well. Caleb Allen. Let's see. Caleb Allen plays for Bulldogs. Gotta watch out for those guys. Enrico Lehman. We got a lot of guys with the 1 interception as well. Yeah, man. Pass deflections registered right now. Tyke Wells, Kamari Hill. Some good user guys right there. Yeah, man. So that's really it right now as far as what we seeing. I go to standards and you guys can see like the power rankings for Madden. These are Madden's power rankings outside of my power rankings, and they got Bama at number 1, the Seminoles at number 2, The Longhorns at number 3. The Tar Heels at number 4. Mississippi at number 5. Michigan State at number 6. Colorado at number 7. Oklahoma State at number 8. Badgers at number 9. Bruins at number 10. And this is not a bad list either. Ole Miss at number 11. This is not a bad list either. Not gonna lie. They got a nice little list put together as well. And Washington Huskies at the bottom of the heap. And now in the offensive power rankings, as you can see, this is who they think has the top offenses based on what they've seen right now. And this is not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. They going off for production and stats as well too. So just know that. But yeah, man, that's what it's looking like right now. Defense, they're gonna say Mississippi State got the most stout defense, followed by the Nittany Lions, then the Wolverines, the Badgers, the Cowboys, the Bulldogs out in Georgia, and hopefully that can start amounting some wins for some of these teams, man, because it ain't looking like it early. They even got the Tar Heels here at number 12. That's interesting. Bama ranking number 1 on offense and 10 on defense right now. That's very interesting as well. Gotta watch that. And yeah, they said they think Texas is the number 1 defense. And where do they got Texas defense ranked? They got Texas defense ranked number 19. And that's probably due to points given up. They only gave up 13.5 points. But maybe they're trying to go based on their opponents too. We've seen Texas play TCU, who's 0-2, and Georgia, who's 0-2. So they're probably not giving them too much credit because both of these teams lost twice. And those are always things that, like, those are always things that you got to peep to and, like, try to, gain understanding from that side of it. Yeah, but it's looking good right now. These are the odds of the games. I just peeped that they got odds of the games. I may have to utilize that, man. They got FSU as a 1.5 favorite over CU. They got Washington as a 1.5 favorite over Oregon. They got Oklahoma as an 11-point underdog. 11 points over TCU. So they got So they got Oklahoma as an 11-point. Like, they got them as, wow, that's crazy. And then they got USC beating Texas A&M by more than a touchdown. They got UCLA beating NC State by 5.5. They got Utah beating Notre Dame. Wow, they got Utah beating Notre Dame by 3.5. Wow. Oh wait, actually that's just the spread. So it's not necessarily that they have them beating them. That's just the spread. So that is just the spread. They're saying that they can cover that. Okay, I get it. But they got LSU as a 6-point underdog to Tennessee. They got Florida as a 2.5 point underdog to UNC. That makes sense. They have UGA and a 3.5 point spread with Clemson. They got OSU a 1.5 better than PSU. They got Iowa 5.5 point underdog. But OSU, hold up. This is the underdog part of me. Underdog by 0.5 point. Then they got Iowa is underdog by 5.5 in this game. Okay. I'm catching the read on the spreads, guys. Catching the read on the spreads, guys. But yeah, man, that's pretty much gonna wrap up the podcast. I appreciate you guys that rocked with me. I appreciate you guys that tuned in, man. Always just want to keep you guys up to date and give you these types just in case, like, you're in and out and you ever just want to catch up, man. You guys always can skim through, the different topics yourself and see what you like. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. We got some game action coming soon. Let me show that schedule once again real quick and show you guys who's going to be playing tonight. We got UCLA versus NC State, and we got TCU versus Oklahoma tonight. So TCU guys, if you're in here, tell your team to get your game plan in. I will tell them while I'm airing NC State versus UCLA. But yeah, man, get y'all game plans in. because y'all playing tonight. Game day starts tonight. Shout out to my guy Kobe Bamba in the building. Salute to you, my guy. I will be in the VC soon. I will be in the Moolah ship soon. Trying to get these 2 games done. And salute to y'all, man. Peace. I'm out.